Yes, sadly, the time has come for me to sell my Lexus ISF. On this episode of Eat, Sleep, Drive, we're going to talk about why I'm selling it. We're going to talk about how much it costs me to own. And I'm also going to explain how, if you've ever thought about buying one of these, now is the time to do it. I really have mixed emotions about selling this car. I've had so much fun with this thing between its 5-liter V8 engine, which is just so rare for a Japanese car. Power! Oh my gosh. 5-0, mother! That makes amazing noise from the intake to the exhaust. And then, it's mated to an 8-speed transmission that is pretty good, even though it's an automatic, and has, of course, 8 gears, so it gets good fuel economy. It's been reliable, and it's also luxurious. It's very comfortable to drive in an everyday setting, and for all those reasons, it makes this car a very special car to drive in a daily driver fashion. It's just something you could get in, have fun, and not have to worry about, maybe most importantly from a reliability standpoint. But it's sort of for those reasons, and the fact that it's such a good all-around car is the reason that it doesn't make it exactly right for me to own. I have a daily driver in a Toyota Land Cruiser, which is reliable, comfortable, and I can haul everything around I need in that. But when I want to have fun in a car, I want the ultimate driving experience, and I've really found myself missing a manual transmission. And while this car dynamically is very good, of course it's an automatic, it doesn't have the manual, and even if it did have a manual, it's not maybe the most engaging car. Once again, perfect for an all-around daily driver. You can still have fun with it, take it to the track and do all those things, but if you want the ultimate in feel, if you want the ultimate in feedback and stuff like that, this just isn't quite it. Now, I really appreciate everyone who has followed along for this series, and I would love to have you guys stay around. I totally understand if not, but for me, cars is all about experiencing something new and seeing what else is out there. I think it's a bad idea to stay pigeonholed into one brand or one specific model just because you miss out on so much. And while I am going to miss this car, I take away all the things that I've enjoyed about it and modifying it and going through all of that with you guys. So you're going to see very soon what I'm unveiling for the channel as my next project car. But before we do that, let's talk about how much it costs me to own this thing. Whenever you buy a used car, especially one that's 10 years old and has over 130,000 miles like this one, you're going to incur some cost to get that thing up to snuff. I don't care how sorted you may think a car is or isn't. On this car, there were 2 small costs that I incurred. The first of which was the lower control arm bushing. They're known for getting a little squishy with age on these, and once again, after 130,000 miles, mine were feeling a little bit worn. And while this car dynamically stock was good but not great from a steering feel perspective, those worn out bushings in the front were really making it much, much worse. So what I did was go and talk to RR Racing, and they make an aftermarket lower control arm bushing, and it really livened up the front end. I have much better steering, turn in and response, and even a little more feel with this thing compared to the stocks. Now, I could have just put a stock one in and it probably would have improved things a bit, but it just made sense for me to upgrade because this is a common problem with these cars. So for this price right here, that's all I had to pay to do the job myself, and it really doesn't take very much skill or many tools to get done. The only other thing I had to fix on my ISF was actually cosmetics. So you could say it was a bit elective, but it really was quite unsightly. The rear lip spoiler that was stock was peeling, and the paint was just, the clear coat was coming off. It looked really horrible and didn't match the rest of the car, because the rest of this car is actually in really good shape, aside from someone backing into the front bumper, but that's no fault of the car's. But the spoiler itself, once again, just the factory paint was just getting crappy. So I decided to upgrade. Once again, I upgrade the control arm bushings while I'm in there. I decided to upgrade to this carbon fiber spoiler, and you could go back and look at the video for how I installed that and everything, but I think it matches the character of this car because it's relatively understated, but it also gives it a unique look. And for 160 bucks or thereabouts, it really wasn't too much, especially for the fact that, once again, I could do this myself with limited tools and it didn't take me very long. So more or less $500 all in to own this car, and nothing else broke on me, nothing else needed addressing, and I had 415 horsepower at my disposal. Now, obviously I spent a little more on this car, but those were for sure elective things. I put an exhaust on this thing, which will run you about $1,000 for an entry-level exhaust on this car, but to me, it was well worth it to get the sound out of this thing that it really deserves from factory. I also did a tune to make it a little faster. That was another elective thing that you can consider doing for about 700 bucks. But when we're just talking about how much it cost me to own, I could have just done the control arms and the spoiler and driven this thing and enjoyed it. So that's it. That's all I had to fix, and that's all it cost me to own this car during the time period that I had it. It's been super reliable, and that's pretty much par for the course with Lexus. Now it's time for us to take this for one more spin, and for me to explain why, if you're interested at all in buying an ISF, you need to do it now.
I remember back in 2008 when these came out, I was actually at the auto show in Cleveland, and they had one of these there, and I was big into cars back then, just like I am now, but I didn't know much about it until really, honestly, I got at the auto show and then sat in it and everything, and I was honestly blown away that A, Lexus would make this kind of thing, and B, how nice it was. Like, I loved this gauge cluster with these blue needles. It just felt very special to me at the time. So it's really since then that I've always really wanted to own one. And obviously in 2008, well, at that time I was still in college, a broke college kid. No way I could afford a $60,000+ car. And I've been eyeing them. You know, they've been slowly dropping in price. And about a year ago, I noticed, man, they're, you know, really affordable, sub $20,000, and with everything in a Lexus, you know that it's reliable, and these do have a couple issues, but nothing as nearly serious as something of a BMW M3 or something like that. But long story short, I was like, well, maybe now is the time to buy one of these, and I'm really glad I bought when I did, because what I've noticed is that these are really starting to go up in value. They have basically hit their bottom. This is gonna be a somewhat collectible car. It's not gonna be something on the level of a Countach or something like that, of course, but it's just such an icon, and it's going away, especially in every category. A V8, a 5-liter V8 that sounds like this, you know, and it's a Japanese V8. Like, there just haven't been that many of these kind of cars made. And when you think about specifically the ISF, there was like 5,000 made total during the entire time that they made the ISF. And that's way less than they made of things like the BMW M3s and stuff like that. So the people that say that a 4-door Lexus will never be increasing in value or somewhat collectible at all, that's total bullshit in my opinion, because this car has to be. They didn't make enough of them, and there's enough people that are interested in them that, as you can see by the prices, that people want to keep these things around, and people are going to continue to modify them and enjoy them and use them even as a toy, as good as they are as a daily driver. So that's why, if you have ever considered buying one of these cars, you need to do it now, because you're gonna miss the train. It's sort of like the Evo. Those are going up in value as well. Because if you want this engine, you need to buy it now. And it's just, once again, a thing that's going away. And I think if you bought this car as a daily driver and it was your only car, you would absolutely love it. It's not gonna give you any trouble or any problems, and it makes good noises and it's fun to drive. So what really more else could you ask for? I'm not gonna say exactly what my next car is, because of course I'm gonna leave you guys hanging. If you want a preview, go to my Instagram, EatSleepDrive TV, and you'll probably be able to figure out what the next car for the channel is. But guys, I'm super excited about it. Thanks for watching all the ISF content. These cars are fantastic. They're going up in value. Buy it now before you can't. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.